Hey guys, Sam Landley here. Today we're going to be discussing the very important topic of Christian dating and the stock market, and I'll make that connection for you guys in this video. So what are some of the things that you think about when I mention the stock market? Obviously, when you think Christian dating or Christians and dating and the stock market, there doesn't seem to be a clear connection there. But if I were to ask you, what do you think about dating or the stock market, you'd probably say something similar to anxiety provoking, nervousness, confusion, not for me, whatever the case is. You'd probably have either one of those responses, and they do apply to both of them, at least from what I'm hearing from friends who are dating or who have dated in the past. So I'm going to try to break this down for you real quickly by just sharing with you what I learned about the stock market these last couple of months, and also how I see the connection with dating. So the first thing I've learned about investing in stocks is that it is very important for you to look for trends and patterns that the company has. Maybe looking back 3 to 5 years or so and just kind of see what kind of trends that company has. Essentially what this does is put you in a position where you can evaluate the history of that stock and see if the patterns have been consistent, and depending on if it's going up or down, that'll help you determine whether or not it's a good stock to invest in. The second principle that I've learned about investing in stocks is that you have to look for growth, right? Specifically, you want to look at their sales growth and projected profit growth. So how much are they selling and how much profits are they making from what they're selling? Now, some people may estimate too much. They may be inaccurate in their estimations or projections for that company, but typically it gives you a good idea of where the stock is headed. And the last principle I've learned about investing in stocks is that you have to look for the direction or the future of that company. For example, who's in charge of it? Where do they want to go? What does the market look like in that area? So if it's tech, which is a big one, if it's the medical profession, which is another big field as well. So these are the types of stocks that you want to look at because they have a lot of potential in regards to their growth for the future. And if you have a good leader at the head of that company, then that would probably be a very good investment. So you're probably asking yourself right now, is that, Sam, those are great principles. I don't know if you know what you're talking about. And honestly, that's not an in-depth understanding of what the stock market is. It's just things that I've observed. But here's the connection to the Christian dating world. So the first principle I mentioned was about looking for trends and patterns. And when you're dating someone, you do want to be looking for trends and patterns in their daily life. So as you continue to date this person, or as you're starting to date this person, look for trends, right? What do they do? On your first date, did they do that same thing on the second date? Did they do that on the third date? Did they do it on the fourth date? Whatever the case is, look for those trends. So a couple of things to probably ask yourself is, how do they treat the waiter? How do they treat the waitress? How do they treat other people around them? How do they treat their family? How do they treat me? Right? So look for those things, and if you can see a level of consistency with that person, then that's one of the check boxes that you can mark off in regards to selecting a potential boyfriend, girlfriend, and maybe down the road, husband or wife. The second thing you want to look for is for growth, right? And there's different types of growth, right? There's academic growth, there's professional growth, there's personal development type of growth. But the one that I want to focus on, because as Christians is an important aspect to look at, is you want to make sure that they are spiritually growing, right? And spiritual growth typically is not seen early on because everything that you guys are talking about is only one small part of your entire life, right? So you may share your testimony, or you may talk about how you came to the Lord in those early first dates, but typically you don't know if the person is actually growing until you continue to date them, for a good, 3 months or so. But you can pretty quickly pick up on whether or not someone is spiritually growing by hearing what they like to talk about, right? Do they talk about the Lord? Do they talk about what He's doing in their lives? Do they talk about how they see Him in their future, about what they want to do for the Lord? So again, that might not be the core topic of every conversation, but it should be something that's evident in the person. The biggest issue that I see a lot of Christians doing today is that, well, this guy or this girl, they go to church and they seem to be good people, and they may in fact be good people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're Christian, or even that they're, more importantly, that they're growing Christians. So definitely look for growth when you're trying to choose someone to date. Lastly, and probably one of the most important ones, is look at the future direction of that person, right? A lot of people, we all make our own plans. We all see ourselves 5-10 years from now in a certain place if we've planned that far ahead. But ask them about that. Ask them where they see themselves 5-10 years from now, and see if you can align yourself with that vision that they have or where they see themselves. If in the conversations that you guys have, you see that you both are kind of headed in different directions, don't try to convince yourself that at some point down the line you're going to be able to persuade them or even convince them to go in the direction that you are. I don't see that typically works. So honestly, I just feel like at that point, if you know that you guys are headed in completely different directions, it's okay to just say, hey, I realize we're just going in different directions. This may not be the best idea for us. So I think it's good that we just, remain friends. But if you're going in the same direction, and everything that person talks about, specifically when they're talking about the future, you're excited about, you can see yourself in that future as well, and you even want to join him or her on that journey, then great, continue to date that person. Again, if you're able to see the trends and you're happy with that, if you're able to see growth, spiritual growth specifically in their lives, and you're happy with that, that's another checkbox to mark. And then lastly, if you see that their future is somewhere where you want to be, then that's the third checkbox that you just want to mark off. And honestly, if you have those 3 checked off, then I think you have great potential for building a very strong, committed Christian relationship. So again, as you establish and maintain this relationship, I know that like the stock market, you're going to have a couple of ups and downs along the way. Don't let that scare you away from the relationship. What you'll find is that the more you start to date this person, the more you're going to be confronted with a lot of your own insecurities and your own fears, and you really have to deal with those things. And that's part of relationships. It's dealing with your stuff as you continue to be exposed more and more to this person that you're dating, right? If you put up walls, you're never going to be able to get to know each other. So you have to go in with a positive mindset, expecting the best, and then as things happen, then starting to make some decisions along the way. Guys, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, shoot me an email or a message through Facebook, and I'll be happy to answer those questions as well. I'm also going to give some tips on what to look for if you do need to exit a relationship, and also just some other information that I think you'll find helpful in regards to dating. Thank you guys. Have a great day.